first because Charlie kindly did this for me. I just wanted to explain that I am a model, and this was one of my first sort of outings, basically. And I was kindly asked to do the MPS2, and I haven't been paid for it yet, so I'm not finance where that money is, yes. But I'm also following on now. I'm going to do some work with sort of Toby jugs and things like that, so things are moving forward with me, which is quite good. Seriously though, the reason we're here is to talk about the 7000 Series Buccaneer. It's the latest in a line of Buccaneer products from the connectivity stable, and I'm quite pleased to announce that the product is moving forward really, really well. The interesting thing about connectors is that they're everywhere. We touch them every day. They're on our computers, they're on our mobile phones, but we don't sort of recognise that they're there. And these sort of Buccaneer products are pretty much the same, really. They're hidden away, you never see them working, but they're there, and you know, they have to perform, much as most of these things do. So the new 7000 series is it's born on the pedigree of the sort of the standard Buccaneers that we have. It's a quarter-turn locking system. It's available in metal and plastic bodies. It has multiple IP ratings, which I'll come on to later, and it's designed for mains power and signal interfaces. Where does it sit in the sort of Buccaneer family? We've got quite a range of products that range from the 400 series, which is a very small product rated at 8 amps, 250 volts, right up to the 900 series, which is a monster. And the 7000 series sits in between the standard Buccaneer, which we've had for probably about 30 years, and is really the sort of stalwart of the Buccaneer range, and between the 900 series. But it's got vastly improved ratings over the standard Buccaneer, but in a much more compact space. The system is fairly modular. We've always designed our products in a similar way because it's a tried and tested system. We use a standard landing system, a single piece body which leads to less potential leak paths, and a modular system in terms of contact carriers. So if we look at the specification for the product, I mentioned earlier it's IP 66, 68 and 69K. Those are purely environmentally sealed ratings, and what that means is that the product can be deployed in a number of different environments. So IP69K is a pressure hose, IP68 is submersion, and IP66 is more like sort of showers. So what it means from an engineer's perspective is that we can virtually guarantee that it'll operate in a number of different environments, whereas if you just test one of these characteristics, you can't necessarily guarantee that the product will operate in the other environments. We've got two body materials, one is metal and one is plastic. Metal body material is a zinc alloy, nickel plated, and the plastic is a grey PC PBT. The plastic body material gives us a venal rating in terms of flammability, which means that if you put a flame to it, it will self-extinguish after a certain period of time. And also, in terms of halogen-free, if the product is burned in some sort of massive fire, it doesn't give off toxic gases. So in a lot of applications, certainly where you're in a confined environment, halogen-free is quite important, and it's necessary to have that sort of specification. And the UV rating means that it's good in terms of a stable environment outside, so it will not deteriorate over a period of time when it's exposed to sunlight. And the temperature rating of -40 to 120 gives us quite a range of potential applications. So if we look at these sort of contact carriers, I won't go through it, but the products are rated up to 25 amps, 600 volts, and these are the maximum ratings with the different international test bodies, for example UL, VDE and CSA, you tend to get different ratings for a product. So I've just quoted the maximum ratings here. They all tend to sort of use different formulas for working out voltages and currents, so derating curves apply and things like that. The other feature that is quite common within the Buccaneer range is that we have interchangeable contact carriers, so you can swap around these socket contacts and the pin contacts in the body arrangements. It makes it a lot more flexible from an end user perspective. The RP69 and 69K and 68 does mean it is validated for a number of potential applications, and it does mean that we can say that it will perform in those particular environments. The locking system is quite unique to us. It's less than quarter turn, so it's about 60 degrees, and it gives a quick and easy mating and unmating. But most importantly, it gives there's a tactile feel. You can feel when the product is mated. So from a user perspective, it's very easy to use, but it does mean that it's quite good for blind mating applications where you can't see whether you're making the product, and you can actually feel that it has been mated properly, and thus you've got a guaranteed seal for the product. I mentioned earlier the metal and plastic bodies. These two connectors are interchangeable, so if somebody wants to use a metal connector on a cable, for example, because it might get dropped on the floor, but they might want to use a plastic one on the enclosure or the box, then they can put the two together. This is fairly unique. Most connector systems are either sort of plastic or they're metal, but they're not necessarily interchangeable. So it just gives us a unique feature from this perspective. I mentioned earlier the plastic material. It is UV stable, which makes it good for internal applications and external. The halogen-free again means that it doesn't give off toxic gases. So it is good for both environments and for long-term outdoor applications. The product also, if you're talking about sort of blind mating or areas where people could accidentally put the connectors together incorrectly, they're designed so that the contacts are scoop-proof, so that if you try to mate them incorrectly, you can't damage the pin contacts when you put the connectors together. I've mentioned the power ratings already. In terms of the design, we have used our standard sort of traditional methods. A glanding system which gives us a very good compression on the cable and allows us to obtain some very good cable retention forces, and also tried and tested design of having a single piece body. Many of our competitors have a two-part body, which means that you have a potential leak path halfway through the connector. And the other thing with the 7000 series, like most of the other Buccaneers, is that we do offer a complete sealing solution. So we offer the sealing caps, and we also offer any glands or any gaskets that may be required. With some of our competitors, you have to actually buy individual components and put them all together. So this is the range. We've got flex connectors which go onto a cable, and they are mated with both the flex in line, which makes up to an inline cable connection, and the chassis connector, which gives you the equipment to cable connection. And obviously we've got accessories to go with that. So where would we sell it? It's not just designed for sort of outdoor applications, because the 6 in the IP rating is also a dust-proof rating, and it does mean that it's very good for applications where you've also got dust in the atmosphere. In sort of factory environments, things like cement dust and things like that can corrode contacts within connectors and make them fairly useless within a few months. So you could have an application where you're not necessarily looking at a waterproof problem, but a dustproof problem. So we're looking at both internal and external applications. And here's some of the key applications. We've already submitted some samples for some customers that are putting together these fountains with light shows and those sort of things, and that's quite an interesting application. With the 6000 series, we've already been involved with Disney on their sort of World of Wonder light show, and it looks like they'll probably use the 7000 series as well. So it's quite interesting for us. The truck in the top right is an application where we're sampling some customers for some pressure sensors for weighing equipment. Got some interesting potential applications for transportation. We're not talking about mainstream automotive, but it is specialist vehicles like robots and ground inspection equipment. Leisure marine is an obvious one because obviously there's a lot of water, and there are things like control systems, lifting equipment, lighting. And the last one is renewable energy. Although most solar panels are DC voltages, when they come back into the inverter, which converts it from DC to AC, you generally have an output connector, so you need to have some power control. In terms of air positioning, we've got an interesting product in as much as it's using our existing technologies, but we've tried to improve on those so that the locking system is much improved over many of our competitors. Having both plastic and metal is quite a unique feature, but the fact that we've got these 3 IP ratings, there are virtually no manufacturers that have tested their product to the 3 ratings, so they can't necessarily guarantee performance across a range of applications and environments. And we have got a number of competitors or potential competitors. The connector market is huge, and there's too many to list, but a lot of them are based upon real standard products that have been pushed into the industrial market, and they haven't necessarily been designed for the industrial application. Just lastly, coming on to sort of some of the marketing blurb and collateral that we put together. We've put together data sheets both in metal and plastic, and we've done that in 7 languages. I've done it all myself because I'm multilingual.
Kate's going to need you then for the
Yes.
Now we know.
So all of this information is available on the website. We've also put together a resource area that channel partners can use, where they can draw on the library of images, data sheets, installation instructions, CAD information. So to support this, we've obviously done a press release. We've put together some launch documentation which gives full technical data in terms of the product, its applications and its positioning. We've produced some sample cases that are being used by primarily by our main distributors and our sales engineers. We have a CAD animation that's live on YouTube and on our website, and we're using a company called Trace Parts, who are a CAD bureau, to push our 3D CAD models through. The CAD models aren't up on the system yet, they'll probably go live next week, but it does mean that engineers can download the models and design straight into their systems. That's it really. No questions, please.